All right, you've come to find out which 6.5-inch speaker is best for bass. Well, I have Pioneer, Alpine, and ESP Audio. Who's ESP Audio? ESP Audio is an Italian company that's been around for 55 years, so I think I'm bringing a dark horse in this competition. We're going to start off with specs, listening test, and then full bass output review. And you stick around to the end, and I'm going to show you, no matter what speaker you like, how to increase your bass performance by 50%. My name is James. I'm a 30-year veteran of car audio, and I want to let my experience guide you down the path of finding the best upgrade for you and your car and for the music you listen to. Because what sounds good to me and what sounds good to you might be completely different. So let's find out which speaker is going to work the best for you.
Round one, fight!
Jumping into the ESP speakers, these are called the Harmony HB 1.6Cs for coax. One thing I want to say, I'm going to show some humorous things too. I have never seen a speaker that comes in a clamshell before in all my years. So I have to admit, I'm kind of taken back with this one. But the build coil looks pretty decent. Now, these are about $109 USD. Keep in mind, I'm going to put a link down below, which will go to your geographical area for pricing for all these speakers. This 6.5 comes with a rubber surround, pressed paper cone, and a mylar tweeter with an RMS rating of 50 watts with 100 watts peak. It just uses the standard speaker terminals, as you can see here. And all around, just seems like a good speaker. But like I said before, this is what we're starting at with $109. Now you might be asking yourself, why did I choose the ESP speakers? The biggest reason was I wanted to bring something different than the typical brands that everyone sees. You know, the Pioneers, the Kenwoods, the Kickers. I wanted to show something different. So I wanted to give, I'm not want to say an underdog, but a less known speaker a chance to compete against the pretty well the dominance guys of Pioneer, Alpine, and all these brands you see worldwide. Now I have to admit though, I am very, very curious what these are going to sound like when we get to the listening test. The Pioneer TSD 65Fs use a rubber surround with a polypropylene cone. They too use a standard speaker adapter. They do have a small crossover on it. And as I was giggling earlier, and I know, but it comes in styrofoam. Why I say that though, I have to say, with ESB, it was very easy to put back in the box where, you know, with styrofoam, somehow it never goes back in the box, right? The Pioneers have something that's kind of interesting, and I am going to call it out. 90 watts RMS, higher power handling than the previous ESBs, but they have a peak of 270 watts. 270 watts. I think they might be giving a little bit extra. I mean, keep in mind, guys, with all of these kind of speakers, especially Japanese manufacturers, you want to make sure that you use the RMS rating when doing anything. So if we're going to keep apples to apples right now, at 50 watts for the last one, the ESBs, this one is 90. But keep in mind, it all depends what goes into the Pioneer. We've done a lot of Pioneer on this test, and it really is a tried and true speaker. Now, and this one comes in at roughly $129 USD, but as I said before, check down below for the links to find out pricing in your area. These bad boys is the Alpine Bead RVS65s. Now, these I am going to start off with are our highest ones. Now, these are coming in at roughly $249. So yes, they're substantially higher, but I wanted to show the difference between the three different levels of output, even when it comes to bass. And let's find out, is this speaker worth it? This speaker has the mylar cap, plus it has the two speaker leads, just like everything else. And you'll see here, the hedge surround. This is our new high excursion sound. And you might also notice that the tweeter is recessed right into the driver. I'm gonna go like that. This is called center point technology. And what the idea is the tweeter and the woofer now are aligned within the voice coil. So give you better sound quality opposed to having a tweeter out here. I do love this design. I'm really excited about testing these speakers. Now, the one thing to keep in mind with these is there are 50 watts RMS and 100 peak. And I think that's a fair assessment of it. They are a lot bigger driver. Let's see when we get into the listening test if there is enough difference to justify twice the cost from the ESBs and about $100 more than the Pioneers. Let's jump right in. Winner, round one, is the Alpine. Now, not for what you might think. I do like the tweeter. I like how it's a little bit smaller. It doesn't stick out. So if I go like this, you can kind of see how it is that it fits a little bit better. Believe it or not, the most chunky one out of the two actually fits in a 6-inch hole. That's why. Now what it is they use a very small basket. So how did I know this? Let me grab this. So this is my testing, guys. I use one of these, okay? It's a 6.5-inch box, rhino lined, okay? Very easy to do it. Now if I look at this, Alpine fits right in the hole. I'm gonna go like this because they're black. It's a little bit hard to see, guys. Doesn't fit in the hole. And doesn't fit in the hole. So I'm not talking about power handling, anything like that. I am just talking about ease of installation at this point. Tweeter makes it easier, fits in a 6-inch hole. Now, let's get into round 2.
Round 2. Fight!
As we head into the listening test, I want you to keep in mind that I am going to be keeping the volume the same on the radio and on the amplifier. You're probably going to hear a difference in volume because the ESB has an efficiency of 88 dB. So why I say this is 3 dB is me talking like this and talking like this. So with this one being 88, and I'm just going to go to here to the Alpine. Now the Alpine is 84. So you might say it's about a 4 dB difference, but there's different materials, and the materials make a big difference to output. But I want to give this caveat of why you might start to hear a difference in sound. And then also too, we are at 86 with the Pioneer. So that being said, if I put 1 watt into it, it's how loud it's going to be roughly 6 feet away. It's not the end all be all. It's a measuring I know a lot of people use for efficiency, but keep that in mind, different materials. So for example, typically a metal tweeter is a little bit more harsh or more than a soft dome, but some people like the soft dome better. So keep in mind the efficiencies are completely different in these speakers and materials, but that's why we're doing a listening test, all right?
Writing in the margins of my mind all day, sipping herbal in the morning just to feel okay. Had a dream I was water just flowing through space, till I landed on the record that my grandma would play. Talk sweet like jazz in the park after rain. What the grass smell green and the air feels safe. Put the phone on mute.
All right, winner of round 2. What did you think? All right, they sound drastically different. Same volume, same position, same everything. Now, I am going to say, once again, I really enjoyed the Alpine. I like the sound. But here's my flip-flop. For half the price, I am really happy with ESB. And if you look at those clips again, you can hear a drastic difference between the Pioneer and all of these ones, but when you listen to the Alpine and the ESB, it's pretty close. Since it's pretty close, I'm calling winner ESB audio. As we head into round 3, keep in mind I still want to give you the little bonus tip of this whole thing, that no matter what speaker you think sounds best to you, I'm going to add at least 25 to 50% more bass by my tip at the end of the video, so stick around.
Final round. Fight!
All right, for the bass test, what I do with this one is let me break it down. For the bass test, there's a spec that a lot of people talk about, which is X Max. I don't want to show you specs. I don't want to get in the gobbledygook. I don't want to have a propeller head. So what I'm going to do is I use this cylinder and I use beads, which are just here. Standard beads you get at, craft store. And what I'm going to do is I fill this all up. And what I do is I measure it from here, and we're going to see how much power that this speaker has to push these beads higher and higher. And it'll all be at the same volume on the same music, and we'll get to see is how much bass it can produce, because really bass has a lot to do with how much air it can move, and that's what you feel, when you're sitting there and doom, 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 and you can feel it. It's because you can feel the air and the vibrations. More vibrations, more air, more better.
Fatality.
All right, winner of round 3. So we can probably break it down. First was the Alpine because of mountability. Second one was sound, went to ESB. Third one, it's pretty hands down. You'll notice those beads. What's going up the most? The Alpine is by far. And Alpine wins due to this is for best 6.5-inch for bass. Alpine BRV-S65, winner today of the best speaker for the most bass for your buck. Let's figure out though how with any speaker, even if it's installed now, to increase bass by 25 to 50%. All right, let's talk about how less than $10 a speaker can give you 25 to 50% more bass. The problem is when you have a speaker like this, you have the ability to have the sound come out like this, like a funnel. And the problem is if you have a door panel, I'm just going to use this as a factory was here, and you have a gap. The sound doesn't come straight out. Like I said, it goes out on diagonals. So then if you have a door panel, all your sound is going inside the door panel and going outside. It makes no sense. So what you do is you get a gasket like this, and you'll see, you give it a bit of a squish. It's soft gasket. Now what that does, I'll put it over top of the speaker. And now to illustrate it, when I go through and this goes tight, you now get a tight seal front to back. So all the energy, instead of going out in all the funny directions, comes directly into your car, giving you more output. Guys, and every OEM speaker has a gasket. The problem is when we change the speakers, we don't put this in, and maybe because someone didn't talk to you about it or we didn't know. If you have speakers installed in your car or looking to install speakers in your car, make sure you use a gasket, and I will leave a link down below where you can grab these things from Amazon in your local area. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I got another one right about here. That's going to go a little bit more in depth of another 6.5 inch shootout I did, where I didn't focus on bass, I focused on everything, and there's a listening test there as well, and it is for Pioneer, Kenwood, and Hertz Audio.